Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome.
Thank you guys for joining us again. This is She's a Full-On Monet, episode 11. We are officially double-digiting it now, and that's pretty exciting. Yeah, thank you again to everyone who comes back week to week to join us, because we really do appreciate your support. And today we are talking about a subject I have to admit is it's going to be a learning experience for me too. So we're on this journey together. We're talking about dating yourself, which I'm a huge proponent for relationship and couple date nights. My hubby and I do them on a regular basis, even though now that we're empty nesters, we're alone here all the time. So I think when we do date nights or weekends away, things like that, it just the little extra effort that it takes to plan and get dressed up a little bit and do something out of your normal routine. And we usually have some ground rules, like we won't talk about, work stuff, and we try to put some kind of boundaries on it so that we can just connect. Because the last thing you want to do is like sit at a nice restaurant on a date and rehash all of our shared work responsibilities, because we do work together and we have a lot of investments together. So there's always stuff to discuss. We don't do it at date night, but I place this huge value on date night. I have since the very beginning of our relationship. And so this topic to me is really interesting because dating myself is something that I just had never really thought to do, but I see the value in it. It seems so obvious when someone says that, but it had never even crossed my mind.
I'm polar opposite. It's like pulling teeth, trying to get my husband to even think of the fact that because for some reason he sees us together at home with the kids and he's like, we're together. Why do we need extra time? I'm like, because the kids are here and I'm in my pajamas, and that is not the same. To him, he doesn't need like all that to like connect. He's different, whatever. It's also, I think, a cop out, but still. So I've learned that and also as a woman or anyone, no one likes to plan all the dates and pay for all, not like I pay for it, but plan all the things. There's no like excitement out of that. So I learned very early on that if I'm not going to date a person, I will date myself. And that is just fine too. And dating yourself, I think, looks different for everybody. For me, dating myself is, well, if I'm going to spend such amount on going on a date with my husband, then maybe I'll just go and get like a frappuccino at the mall and buy some cute shoes and like feel, you know what I mean? Like that to me is dating myself. It's taking the money that I would put aside for that and treating myself rather than putting it into all that extra stuff, which also is very, very important. But sometimes you got to date yourself too. So that's my take on that.
I know when the kids were small, like I would need that alone time, and I would drop them off usually with my grandmother and go, even just going grocery shopping by myself felt like really special and a treat and I would get myself a little treat while I'm at the grocery store, a Starbucks or, a candy bar, whatever I wanted. And I would take my time rather than rushing through as fast as humanly possible and trying to keep the kids from, throwing things over the top of the aisle or smashing.
Dan will like say that me going to Trader Joe's is like someone going to like a seriously long Catholic church service, because I'm gone for hours, and it's because I'm like, do you know how many new things they have at Trader Joe's? Like I could read. It's such a nice experience. I won't go with kids. I'll just like spend time there. I totally get it. I'm there. I am you right there.
Yeah. And moment. As I was a single mom for a long time, so I didn't always have the choice of taking the kids or not taking the kids.
Yes.
So that was my quote unquote alone time. And I remember being excited one day because I had a dentist appointment and I realized I would be alone.
Oh, that's low.
That's sad. I mean, that tells you when you really need some self-care.
That is not a good example of dating yourself.
No, it isn't.
If anyone's like, oh, dentist appointment. No, that's not what we're talking about.
No, that's not it. That's not it. And that's why I'm telling you, like, I need this episode today.
You need to learn. Because I still feel like you would look at that. I mean, when you had kids, older kids, you'd be like, oh, I have to go to the DMV. Darn, 3 hours by my, you know what I mean? Or like the dentist appointment or something. Sad.
And when the kids were teenagers, like I was always trying to get them to hang out with me because they want to be with their friends all the time.
Mhm.
So I would be saying, hey, let's catch a movie, let's go out to eat. And so I felt like I had to plan one-on-one date nights with my kids, also because there are a lot of them, and having the one-on-one time was not that common and that available. So between, individual time spent with each kid and time spent with my partner, like there wasn't.
You're gonna date yourself.
Yeah.
When are you gonna pencil that in?
Right.
Yeah.
So I come like down the list of people. It goes like my kids, and then my partner, and then our pets, and then there's me. Wait, I'm below the dog. And that's so sad.
It's like the groomer appointment will come before whatever you planned on doing for yourself that day.
Right. Or I would love to read 4 chapters of my book right now, but the dog needs to be walked. So I'm walking the dog.
There was like a point, I've been trying to read this one book for months now. It's just silly. And there was like literally a moment in time where like I caught up on my work. There was nothing for me to do. And it was like life was forcing me to read at that moment.
Yeah.
I was like, well, dang, like I never take time. We never prioritize ourselves as high as something like taking the dog to the groomer, or like going and getting things at the store, or taking kids to soccer practice. It's never that important,
No. Well, and when I was single parenting, my ex, if he did take the kids for the weekend, because I had sole custody, but if he did take the kids for the weekend, he would take the boys one weekend and do boy stuff, and the girls the next weekend and do girl stuff. So I never had a break. And I do remember my sister took my kids on a camping trip to Lake Tahoe one time for a week. And I literally did not know what to do with myself.
I was going to say, did you just sit there and not know what to do?
She did that because I was moving, and I had told her like, I can't get anything packed. I can't get anything clean. Like I'm losing my mind. And she's like, okay, you know what? We're going to Lake Tahoe. I'll just take the kids with me. And, and it was fun. Like, I think they really had a great time, all of them, but I got the packing and moving done in the first like 2.5 days. And then I was like, okay. Cause when I don't have an off switch, when there's no one telling me it's time to go to bed, it's time to stop working, I will literally work myself until I fall over. It's
That's
not good.
Crazy. You are an actual hummingbird in human form.
It isn't good. So I didn't know what to do with myself. I had 5 days and I was like, I have no idea what to do. There were too many opportunities. It was almost paralyzing. And
exactly. Oh my gosh. I will admit that I am completely caught up with the Kardashians. And there was one episode where Kim, like all of her kids and all the assistants, like she had the whole house empty and for like 2 days. And she was like, I want to do all the things, but I also want to like relax. And then you do it, get it out of your system and you relax. And then she's like, I'm so bored. And then she's like, I miss them. It's like this weird, we want it and then we have it and then we get it out of our system. And then we're like, well, like, we don't know what to do with it.
That's exactly it. And
so weird.
It's not that I don't like being alone. I love being alone. I genuinely enjoy my own company. I love myself. I'm not saying that like in a conceited way, but I am not one of those people who doesn't know what to do when they're alone. Like, and it feels like they need company all the time. I really enjoy my own solitude company. I strongly believe that your relationship with your own self should be the safest, most comfortable place, like serenity type relationship. You're going to have that relationship for the entirety of your life. It's the longest relationship you'll ever have, guaranteed, is the one with yourself. And so I have really fostered that as far as, not negative talking to myself, loving myself for who I am, giving myself forgiveness. I'm good at all of those things. But I don't necessarily nurture that relationship the way I do my relationship with my partner or my kids or my friends. And that's something that I really know that I need to work on, because my relationship with myself, it should be the most loving and comforting relationship that I have. And I know there are often times if a week or two goes by and I haven't had any kind of date situation with Alex, he'll come up to me and he'll say, I miss you. And I'm like, babe, we are together 24 hours a day. Like I cannot be any closer to you. I am within 6 inches of you most of the day. Like, how can you miss me? And he goes, no, I miss you. And he's like, we're just doing things adjacent to each other, but I miss you. So then that's my signal. Like I need to plan a little weekend away or a date night or something. where we're focusing on each other and kind of nurturing that relationship. It had never crossed my mind that I needed to do that with myself.
Mhm.
So this is something really exciting for me. I am really on board for this. And I will plan all kinds of elaborate fun things for him to do with me, for the kids to do, with their friends, even if I'm not going. Like I plan these elaborate trips for the kids, or tickets to things, or like if I see something that reminds me of someone I think it would be really fun, I like to, I like to plan and I like to surprise people. I do that when I'm entertaining. I plan things for, my friend. I would never think to plan a date night with myself, for myself. And there are a lot of things that I enjoy, hobbies that I enjoy, restaurants that I enjoy that my partner does not. And so I just don't do those things. I mean, like outside of the house, like he doesn't enjoy reading. I love reading. I'll do that. That's fine. I can do that sitting next to him. But there are like restaurants I love that he really doesn't care for, and vice versa. And he'll take himself out to lunch at the restaurants that he loves with no hesitation. I never do that.
You should.
Yeah. And
my kids and my husband sometimes don't like the same things I do. And I like will forget that it's even an option because they've deleted it as an option. I'm like, oh yeah, like I could go there. I don't have to get anything for anyone else. It's not like canceled. You know what I mean? You got to, but you got to also remind yourself, which is super weird.
I know. And some of my favorite restaurants I haven't been to in a long time because I'm the only one that likes them.
Yeah.
One of my favorite thing, I like to be active. I mean, I don't like working out. Let's not get crazy, but I do like to be active. I like to go on hikes. I like to see new places. I like to, just like bike ride through a new neighborhood and check it out. Like I enjoy that. I enjoy road trips. I enjoy going for drives. None of those things are things other than bike riding that Alex enjoys. He's not as physically active as me. He's a lot older than me too. So there are activities that sometimes when we're on a vacation or something that I see as an option to do. And I'd be like, oh, that sounds so fun. I would love to do paddle board yoga, or I would love to do whatever but I know it's, it wouldn't be comfortable for him. So instead of going to take myself to do those things, I just cross it off, which is,
do you consider dating? It's kind of against what the meaning is, but do you consider dating yourself like making time for you and like a girlfriend to go on a road trip? Like, I think that's taking time. Like, it's good for the soul to make time with a friend. And it's also like, for me personally, like I'd love to see certain places and do certain things, but just, I'm not like a black belt. So like just being with company sometimes makes me feel more comfortable, and like I can travel and with ease, but I know that my partner's not into the idea of it, or maybe doesn't want to, it's like maybe dating myself can also be like dragging my best friend
it totally can, because again, I love road trips. I love driving long distance in the car. My whole family loves it. Alex does not love it, first of all.
Yeah.
And he can't sit for that long. He has circulation problems. So 4 or 5 hours is the max he could sit in a car. So I take road trips with the kids. I have done that, but always with a purpose, like getting them to a new place they're living or a new school or something like that. I've never just done it for fun. And I would love, one of my dream bucket list trips is to do a road trip of New England, like the East Coast, like start up in Maine, maybe during like fall or spring when it's really beautiful, and drive down and see all the little coastal towns of New England. I would love to do that. Alex would absolutely hate that. That would be no fun at all to him. But I also wouldn't feel safe doing it by myself because I watched way too much true crime.
That's the thing. We're way too woke. You know what I mean? Like, we cannot travel alone.
No, I've never been murdered, but I don't think I'd like it. So I'm not going to put myself in a situation like where that's.
He wouldn't want you to. He would
he would worry the whole time.
Do it just for the sake of making sure you feel and are safe.
He would freak out.
Drag a friend, but I still see that as dating myself, because it's like I would otherwise just completely cut it out. Like I would all the food options that we were talking about, like I bucket that in the same area of like, oh, I just don't do because my partner doesn't want to, or it's just a different vibe. You know what I mean? And I mean, even too, but I would never get in the car and drive for like how many hours and like pick a hotel on the side of the road. I would just feel more comfortable with another person. Not like
me too.
Yeah.
So I think if I do take that trip, it'll probably be with my sister or with one of the kids or a friend. And I would feel much more comfortable. And plus I think seeing new places is more fun when you're sharing it with someone, because you can kind of vibe off their excitement too. And that's one of the things is that there's a lot of places I would love to go. But again, Alex is 20 plus years older than me. And he's been a lot more places than me. He traveled really extensively before we met, and we've traveled extensively together. But there are a lot of places he's already been.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't necessarily feel the need to go again.
Mm-hmm.
And he would.
You're not interested in going for the first time.
Yeah, he would go with me if I asked him to. But when you go somewhere for the first time and you're super excited about it, and the person you go with has already been there, and they're like, yeah, that's this, yeah, that's that. So you know what I mean? It's
I
not
totally
like
know what you mean. It's different.
It pops your balloon a little bit.
Yeah.
So when we went, we took a trip across Italy. We went from the south part of Italy all the way to the north part of Italy. So we spent like 10 days. We saw so much of Italy. We went together. He's been to Italy a million times. It was my first time. And we took the girls with us. So it was the girls and I that went to all of we went to the Sistine Chapel. We went to the Parthenon or whatever. Like, we went so many places, and he had no interest, because once you've seen it, you don't necessarily need to see it again.
To the experience. It's totally different experience for them. Like, cool, I'm gonna go to the yeah, I get it. I totally understand.
We went to all the museums. And he'd be like,
plus when you travel, it opens yourself up to new thoughts of what to do, because everybody has their own opinion of what they want to do, and it may not have been in your like ideas of what to do, and now you're collaborating together, you know. So that's always fun. I mean, it's fun to do on couple trips, but it's just like when you're by yourself and you're traveling, it's a lot. It just feels like a lot. Although I know it's a totally great experience, and I'm sure you take a lot from it. It's just really not where I'm at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, maybe after, I don't know. I think when people travel alone, I like look at them and I'm like, wow, like that's amazing. You know, there's totally a value to it. It's just, yeah, I just feel like my husband, your husband, they would just feel like, maybe I'll go just so that you feel safe or are safe, you know?
Yeah.
So,
or just, Alex doesn't like being alone. He really doesn't. He's not comfortable like just being alone. So if I went on a vacation by myself, he would probably, first of all, be totally confused, think something was seriously wrong with her. Like, why do you want to be away from me? I don't understand. Yeah. But he'd also worry about me, because in his mind, that would seem really lonely and really depressing and really sad.
It's not what he do.
No.
And so he would be calling you 24/7. So it's like, what's the point?
Like think he needs to come with me, because how could I possibly be enjoying myself alone? But I remember I used to tell you that my dream thing was to have like a weekend in a hotel by myself, like just that was my staycation dream. Yep. With no people with me, and I just order whatever I want from room service and read and lay around the pool and just be alone in my thoughts.
It still sounds incredible.
It sounds incredible.
Did you ever do it? Have you done it?
I have not, and I don't know why. I have not. The closest I've come is to like, I feel that way when I've been admitted to the hospital.
Don't be surprised. That's not the same. That's that's literally apart from bad.
But they bring you food. They bring you food, and you're alone, and nobody can bother you because you're supposed to be resting.
We all have that minor car accident dream where we all,
or the celebrity exhaustion. I'm exhausted also.
Love that one.
Can I just check into a 5-star hotel hospital situation because I'm quote unquote exhausted?
Don't be surprised if in our how we handle our articles, I pop this idea of like tired mom stays at hotel by herself, and
is it all she dreamed of?
I'm just gonna go for work purposes and write my experience.
Right. It's research and development. It's you're gonna take one for the team.
Well, now knowing you haven't done it, we need to know what it's like on that other side, because it still just sounds so great. Like, you had me at hotel room by yourself, but then I forgot about the room service thing and the not having to really go anywhere or like do anything for anyone. I stayed at a hotel room one night overnight by myself, and it was glorious because it was just so quiet, and I got to watch what I wanted. I didn't order any food because I didn't have that, but now I just want to do it for work purposes. So, stay tuned, folks.
we can dream. We can dream. But I think for anybody listening who's not comfortable being by themselves or who hasn't spent a lot of time alone, it's such a valuable thing, because you learn what you like. You learn to listen to your internal monologue. You can spend your time getting to know yourself. And
Again, sometimes 'cause we've
yeah,
touched on this
again,
in the past, how like we change as people, and
right.
sometimes we haven't checked in on ourselves in 10 years, and you're like not
Yeah.
the same anymore.
I know we talked before about how I had kids really young, and I got to a certain age where I didn't even know what kind of music I like to listen to anymore because it was Radio Disney 24/7. So, I mean, I'm rediscovering myself again now that my kids have left the house, 45, and trying to figure out I'm a different person than I was at 18. I'm a different person than I was at 27. I'm different. So I'm learning, like, trying different hobbies and activities. What do I like to do? What am I enjoy? What sounds good, but then when I do it, I realize I don't actually enjoy it. But you have to spend time with yourself, by yourself, to get to that point. Because so often I say, before COVID, I said yes to invitations from friends and for events and things like that. And I kept a busy schedule. And I thought, okay, I'm doing things that I enjoy doing. But with COVID, when everything was removed, when I started thinking about adding things back into my schedule, I had to really examine, did I really enjoy doing that? Or was I doing it out of obligation? Was I doing it because someone else in my circle enjoyed it?
Same. I totally,
Yeah.
I can't believe I ever say this out loud, but I'm kind of not thankful a pandemic happened, but I'm thankful we all had the obligation to shut down and like chill and have everything canceled out of our lives, because now we're kind of like coming out of this, some of us not, but some of us are just completely evolved, not new
Yeah.
people, but we've reintroduced ourselves to ourselves, and we've now said, okay, well, now it's like technically an option to do, but do I really want to do it? Does it bring me
Yeah.
actual joy, or was I doing it out of repetition or social pressure, or whatever that is? I'm totally, it's like one of the most personal things right now, and it's like, have the courage to do the non-popular thing right
Yeah,
now, because
exactly.
it brings you joy, because it wasn't, because the choosing not to actually makes you happier than choosing to.
Yeah. And I've learned about myself that as much as I enjoy having social activities and going to events and things with my friends, I also really value my quiet time at home and my alone time. And I don't necessarily want to have as busy of a schedule as I had before, because the slower pace that I've been at for the last year and a half has been really good for me mentally. And so I feel like I did a hard reset on my life. And I'm going to be much more selective about the things that I add back. But I definitely think dating myself will be one of those things. And for me, that doesn't just mean carving out some, a couple of hours a week or whatever, where I'm by myself. I want to put intention behind it, where I'm actually planning an activity for myself to do, or planning a date basically for myself. And whether that means going to a movie that I know my partner would not enjoy by myself because I want to see it. Normally, if I see a trailer for a movie and I'm like, oh, I would love to see that, but Alex will hate it, then I wait for it to come out on a streaming service and I watch it by myself. But why can't I go to the movie by myself? I love going to the actual movie theater. We have a theater here in the house, but I love going to the actual movie theater, getting popcorn, like having that
I'm all about that. I
dark,
don't even
quiet
care if I'm by
experience.
myself. I actually prefer, because it's like, how much socializing am I doing during a movie?
Yeah.
None. I'm eating and staring forward. I love solo movie sessions.
Yeah, it turns my brain off for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And if there's something that I want to see that no one in my circle wants to see, why shouldn't I go see it by myself?
Now that you have the option to order like buffalo wings and a glass of wine, it's like,
oh yeah,
and you're obligated to turn your phone off. I'm like, that's literally church to me. I love it.
Right.
I cannot be bothered, and I still get all the access to all the things I like.
But I feel like the before version of me would need to, if I was going to plan to go to a movie by myself, it would be sneaky. Like I wouldn't tell everyone I was doing it because I would feel awkward about it.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm confident enough to claim that time and say, you know what, I need some alone time. I'm going to go do this and not feel like I have to justify it to anybody or I'm actually going to go, do this. And really I'm planning to go to a movie by myself.
Because that's a good starting point. I mean, I want to get to a point where I'm cool with eating lunch by myself at a restaurant around other people that are clearly with other people.
See, I can do that, but I bring a book with me. And to me, that's not the same.
Okay.
I mean,
I will. People that scroll their phones, or reading a book is a good thing, but like, just the people that sit there and just enjoy their pasta by themselves and they're so
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, like,
I aspire to get
I
to that
love
point.
that. Yeah, that's where
And
I'm
I
like,
want to be intentional about it. And I also want to be unapologetic about it because with the kids growing up, I always felt like since I was their only parent, anytime I took away from them, I had to justify it. So I was pretty careful about not being selfish with that. They already were down one parent. I wasn't going to take more time. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
It was mom guilt talking
mom
in my
guilt's
head.
hard. Also, you have to also be okay with like putting the money into yourself too. A lot of I get a lot of guilt when when I know how far that money will go for like that small amount of time that I'm spending on myself, whether it's an event or something like that. You have to be like, you really just have to like do it, like do it one, like not crazy or anything, but do it small, take yourself out to a movie, buy yourself something, and then like when that little voice in your head starts to give you all the reasons why you shouldn't, ignore that voice a couple times, and then it won't feel so bad, because especially the time away from the kids, is a tough one too, because you're like, man, did I do enough yesterday to make up for the fact that I'm not there today? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, because
Yeah.
why can't we spend time with ourselves?
And why for me, I would feel, I know what my instinct would be. My instinct would be to tell my partner that I have a bunch of errands to run and
Oh,
then
yeah.
really go date myself. But that's not the point of it. The point of it is for me to show myself and the people around me that I value myself enough to have this time, and that my relationship with myself is just as important as my relationship with him or my relationship with my kids or whatever. And I need to be able to say that out loud to the people around me and have it be accepted for me to internalize it.
Do you consider dating yourself and like self-care in the same category? Because people might be like, well, wait a minute. In past episodes, you're like, oh, take time for self-care. So is dating myself like going to the gym for a couple hours? Because that feels like doing the things I need to do.
No,
treating myself.
no, to me, that's like maintenance of our mental health. And dating yourself to me is whatever kind of effort I would put into to plan a special thing for me and a friend, or me and my partner, or me and one of the kids. When I used to have these dates with each individual kid, I would put thought behind what would they enjoy doing, where would they want to go, like, and I would think about the things that I wanted to talk to them about if something was going on in their life. Why can't I do that for myself? So I'm talking about carving out time where it's intentionally frivolous and not dedicated to, okay, self-care means I'm going to get outside today. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to take a hot bath. This is in addition to, yeah, this is, you know what, even if it's once a month, I'm going to take the time and go to that book club I've been thinking about going to, or I'm going to take myself out and try this new restaurant that I've been hearing about, but I don't know anyone else who wants to go, or whatever it is that you feel is something that you alone would enjoy, that it takes as much thought and effort. I mean, you have to show up for yourself the same amount that you would show up for friends.
Yep.
And you have to have the internal dialogue with yourself as kindly as you would to a friend or partner. And that's the intention. That's what my goal would be, for me to be able to have a conversation with myself, and check in with myself the way I would for a girlfriend.
Like you spoke with Alex when he's like, hey, I miss you. You don't have to be cheesy and look in the mirror and be like, hey, I miss you, but kind of the same way. You're like,
But
on a robotic form for the last how many ever weeks, like,
because we go, productive, doing, especially doing for others. And we miss ourselves.
And most of us wait until we're literally like haggard and borderline sick to go, oh, maybe I should like take a nap, or maybe I should like slow down. Like, we wait until it's like, if there's like, if you're playing a video game and it's like red level, you're like, about to die. We wait until then to like be like awake about it. And then, so if we wait that long to even be aware that we're like literally killing ourselves, how are we going to be so awake that we go, I need to take myself to that new restaurant? Like, it's such a mental training thing. You have to like put it, like when you make your to-do list, put it on there, because like you're going to ignore that. It's not going to be second nature. If it hasn't been for years or whatever, it's not going to just show up.
No, it's not. And I get these emails from some of the clubs that we're members of. We're members of the beach club here. We're members of our community country club. I get their emails every week with all the events and stuff that they're doing. And sometimes I see an event that they're doing and it like one of those like paint and sips or a book club or a learn to golf, thing. And I think that sounds so fun. Like who would be wanting to go to that with me? Why do I have to think that way? Why can't I just go to it with my own self? So I need to work on that. I need to work on not feeling like I need to kind of partner up for every single activity. There's absolutely no reason in the world why I couldn't go to the paint and sip at the country club by myself. Except for my own awkwardness. And that's what I need to get past.
Don't worry about what other people are thinking, but at the same time, we all need to be aware that no one's ever thinking about us or thinking about themselves and what other people are thinking about them. They're never thinking about you or whatever you're thinking. They're thinking about you. But yet for some reason, that's like, it's something we never grow out of. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm alone. They probably think I have no friends or I'm by myself forever. And it's like, why on earth are they thinking about you for that long? Please. Like no one's thinking about anyone for how long?
And that's the opportunity, right? To change your self-talking and change your inner dialogue. Yeah.
Yourself, and also, by the way, you're never probably going to see those people ever again for the most part, like ever again. So whatever, like go eat pasta at the restaurant you really want to eat at and don't worry about what other people are thinking. Cause like, they're probably thinking just like you and I just admitted, that's awesome. I wish I was like that.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
I wish I had more time to myself. I'm literally with someone, looking at someone alone going, wow, like I want to be that person.
And that person's thinking that we're looking at them thinking the exact opposite.
Crazy. Or, oh, they're like, or maybe they're not, maybe they've gotten past this, but we all just need to like get cool with being with ourselves. Cause you're right. It's literally the longest relationship you'll ever have.
Yeah.
And the most important one.
And if you decide to take that class that you've been seeing advertised at your community center or go join some club that you've heard about or take lessons of something that you've always been interested in, but nobody else wants to take them with you, any of those things. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is it's awkward for the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
The best thing that could happen. Maybe you make a great friend that you would never have met otherwise. Or maybe maybe just have a fantastic time by yourself and realize it's not weird like you thought it was going to be. It's totally fine. And then you start doing more things like that.
Yeah. We have to stop waiting for people to validate what brings us joy in order to just do it. Like it's so not about that. And it can be baby steps, but you got to start somewhere because it's going to feel really good. Just like after you work out, you feel really good. You might feel a little guilty at first because it's abnormal to your body, but like, going out and spending some time on yourself and doing that can recenter you, and you feel like you remember that you're also a person who deserves to be happy. We're so used to waking up and going, who can I serve? That we almost forget that like we also deserve to be happy, and maybe you're in a relationship where that person doesn't dote on you all the time. And so you're used to the person that you're with not giving you that kind of attention. So you've kind of done that to yourself as well. It's okay to do that to yourself. Like or you're not in a relationship at all. And you think you have to wait for that person, I can't go mini golf by myself.
Exactly.
I have to wait for somebody.
Exactly.
Well, maybe, but also like maybe go on like lunchtime and just do it and play a couple games and go home and see how that felt,
Yeah, we have to celebrate ourselves. We really do, as much as we celebrate anyone else in our lives. And if we're not getting the support that we need from the people in our lives, I hope that's not the case for any of our listeners, but if it is, be that support for yourself. And it's okay to do that. It's not selfish. There's nothing wrong with celebrating yourself and spoiling yourself in the way that you need. If you're not getting your like love language needs met from anyone else, maybe you're single, maybe you're with a partner who just, for whatever reason at this time, it's not happening. It's okay to be that for yourself. We don't have to always look externally for that.
And for goodness sakes, by all, like if anything, while you're doing it, be present. It's so natural for us to go, oh, I'm by myself. And I don't know for me, but I've noticed other people, especially when I'm in a coffee place or something, they're all on their phones, scrolling on their screens. Yeah. And it's like they're alone, but they're afraid to look like they're just alone. Like they're alone, but maybe they're working on their phone. Like they want someone to think that they have a higher
Yeah.
purpose than just being alone, or they're not comfortable with their own thoughts, or they're not comfortable with looking around and seeing other people look at them and like gets their brains moving. Like you have to like be present in that moment. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's okay. I mean, just sit there, have your coffee, have a
Read a
conversation
book, like that's
internally with
fine. I feel
yourself.
like that's a good I love going into Starbucks when they're playing their nice music and reading a book because it's a better environment than if I was at home. To me, that enhances my experience.
True.
I don't need it as a crutch though. If it's a crutch, like a phone would be, then maybe just like try not using it and like test yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And if it's super awkward for you at first, I mean, you can have that book or phone as a prop to make yourself feel more comfortable, but you shouldn't actually be using that to avoid having conversations with yourself.
Uh-huh.
But if
Or
you need to hold
experiencing
it,
the moment.
right. But if you need to hold it so that you don't feel so judged by other people, at least in the very initial, this isn't going to come naturally for anybody. I mean, when we were kids, at least for myself, I used to play outside by myself all the time.
Yeah.
And I used my imagination and I was like my own best friend. I had a great time. But you lose that as you get older, and that seemed to be weird. And you're supposed to be with your friends all the time. You should have that relationship with yourself. If you, and like Megan said, this is so important. If you are divorced or single or, widowed, or you're alone for whatever reason in your life right now, and you don't have a partner, by choice or otherwise, don't put things off and think, oh, I have to wait until I meet someone to take the cruise I've always wanted to take.
Here to go skydiving alone.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it
not
isn't.
cool.
No, it isn't. And that's how you meet people. You meet people when you're your best version of yourself and you're out there living your life and you have a full and rich life, because
And
that's
guess
what people are
When you're
attracted
coupled
to.
up and married, like it's way harder to do those things solo. You have to, like we already touched on, tell the person you're doing it, make them feel comfortable with the idea that you're doing it. Go and do it. When you're by yourself, it's just go do it.
Yeah.
So like it's do it like we all say on the other side, do it while you can. Do it while you can, because like yeah, you can always do those experiences again. I know it's fun to do new things, but that's how you learn what you like. That's how you get to like cross things off your bucket list. Like you should do those things and don't wait. Even though the brochure shows a guy and a girl or whatever, like doing it together doesn't mean that's only like a you and someone else thing.
Right. Right. And if you do have a partner, this is going to be a learning experience for both of you. If this isn't something that you currently do, spend time apart. In the past, it was very common for husbands and wives to have very different hobbies and spend a lot of their time apart. I mean, men would be off like fishing with their buddies on the weekends or camping or whatever, and the ladies would be doing their own thing. And that was totally accepted and fine. And now we have this idea that we have to do everything with our partner. But honestly,
or there's something wrong with
right, or
your
you're avoiding,
relationship, or there's something wrong with you, or there's you know what I mean? Like sometimes when you've been in a relationship for so long, you start to do things by yourself, people start to question if there's something wrong with your relationship. There's
yeah,
social pressure all over the place because it's like, oh, heaven forbid that, so and so decided to take a vacation by herself to go see, Yosemite. Well, maybe they don't know that like their husband literally hates camping and would never ever do it. And it's been something on their list for years, and resentment builds. So it's like people just feel like it's this security blanket to have.
I've heard that so many times
Yeah.
I have girlfriends who take girls trips to Europe and Mexico and all these things. And I have heard in our social group, oh, I wonder how her husband feels about that. Like they must be having
Like, oh,
problems.
what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, they're on the rocks. And it's like, you don't know that. Maybe he's a mountain person, not a beach person. So she goes to, Cabo with her girlfriends. That's normal. That should be normalized.
mhm.
And I mean, we shouldn't wait to take the trips that we want to take. We shouldn't wait to do the things that we want to do. We should be able to tell our partners, I know you don't enjoy this activity, but it's something that I really want to try or I really enjoy. So this weekend, I'm going to do that from this time to that time. And they shouldn't feel like that's a judgment of them. That's a abandonment of them. That's us, not wanting to be with them. Or
Any healthy relationship has like should have separate hobbies, separate times when you're apart, because like that's just that if you're always doing things together all the time, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like some people like, I always like doing everything with my partner. Like they're my best friend, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like, but do you start to like get itchy and look at your phone and freak out when you've been sitting by yourself for 3 to 5 minutes, because like this is like an individual like learning thing. This isn't
Yeah.
about like, oh, what I prefer. It's like maybe you just need to do things by yourself because you haven't in a really long time. And this is now you're thinking that you have to do everything by yourself. you
Yeah.
know?
And if you need to kind of explore that and make sure that it's not you avoiding ever being alone because you're
Exactly.
uncomfortable with that idea of being alone. Because again, your relationship with yourself should be your primary relationship in this universe. You can't leave yourself. You can't leave yourself for any reason, whether it's a breakup or, people fall out of love, people divorce, people die, people will leave you in your life for a million reasons. Not all are, having anything to do with you, but your relationship with yourself is consistent and stable and always there. So we need to invest in it and we need to nurture it. And it's something that, I really don't hear very many people talking about doing it. I don't see very many people out doing it. And so I think as a society, we have to normalize that. And that takes each one of us individually being proactive and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this today for myself.
No,
Yeah,
it's fun. I do it with my oldest. My youngest she can play for hours by herself. I think it's amazing. My oldest has a really big problem with doing anything by herself. And I literally force her to do things by herself so that she can learn what she likes and what she enjoys. And I'm just sitting here thinking like we always do, I'm forcing her to do something that I myself should be telling myself. Like, okay, take time with yourself and figure out what you like and go do that. Like why am I telling her to do it, but I'm not telling myself to do it, And it doesn't always have to be spent. Maybe you're on a really tight budget, or maybe you lost your job, but you still want to treat yourself. Well, like maybe you really enjoy just going to the beach and looking at the waves. Like go to the beach by yourself and look at the waves, and don't worry about like where are the kids, are they running around, are they in the water?
That's exactly it. If I'm taking my partner or the kids to the beach, to the parks, I will do the most beautiful picnic arrangement. I will plan it. I will have the basket. I will have chilled wine. I'll have cheese plate, whatever I think is going to be, a hit with them, depending on their particular likes and dislikes. If I'm doing it for myself, I would never consider putting that kind of effort in. And that's so messed up, because
how nice it would be to make like a cheese and wine plate, a cheese and like plate and a thing of wine and go to the beach and just watch the sunset. Like I would remember that for probably the rest of my life.
Yeah. And why am I as an individual less deserving of that than, I am when I'm with my partner or my kids? I will totally do things like that, plan, beach trips, and I pack the cooler and I have everybody's everything and we go. Why can't I put that much effort for myself? It tells me a lot about.
And it's a different experience. You're serving, you're hosting, you're hosting at the beach, for goodness sakes. When you go by yourself, you're listening to the waves and the seagulls and you're chilling. Like you're not worrying about anybody but your own happiness and the surroundings around you. When I go to the beach, even if they were teenagers, they'd be like asking me 1,000,000,005 things. Like that is not the same experience. So it's like maybe you don't have a bunch of money to take yourself to the mall or the trip or whatever, but just like what do you enjoy that has been like kind of desensitized because other people are around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for that hike. Go for that hike. Go to the community pool if that's what you enjoy, and swim laps. Like you don't need to make sure someone's there to go with you. We have to just start showing up for ourselves.
Yeah, and I agree. I feel like the more people do it, the more society will catch on and the more it will become a norm, because I think we hit an age where you're almost pressured to be starting to think about being with someone else. Like when you hit a certain age in school, it's like, oh, so-and-so has a boyfriend. And like you start to get boyfriends and and then you start to couple up, and then you're judged for being single, and that never comes back. You never just are chill with yourself. It's like this constant struggle to like fit in with what
and then the other
normal.
Right. The other end of that is like widowhood, where you're expected to just be super sad and alone in a retirement home and just have your grandkids or something, because women live longer than men traditionally, right? That's a genetic thing that is normal. You don't see that many men in retirement homes. It's mostly women. And and there's this idea of like this sad existence that's,
because
left for
they're
us in
by
our old
themselves,
age
which
because they're by
could very
themselves.
well be. I mean, my grandma lost her spouse of 50 plus years, and yeah, this is a big bummer, but it's like you just think that the person like cannot handle it, or it's like a sad state. Well, maybe, but maybe they're also like some people like get a new relationship when like pretty late in life and they're like
Yeah.
super happy and they do like, not like I'm saying you have to have a relationship. If you're well enough to go start to do stuff and you're in the older range, you don't have to like be coupled up. My dad is single and he's older. And I'm like, dude, what do you want to go? What do you want to go do? Because now you have the opportunity to do it. Nothing's holding you back.
Right. You got nothing holding you down. I, again, my partner is 20 plus years older than me, and women tend to live longer than men anyway. So it's just realistic for me to imagine that there's going to be a period of time where I'm on my own. And if I don't start getting comfortable with the idea of that now, then yeah, I will be this sad
It's like a
lady.
shock to the system. So start taking time now. That's super. It sounds super dark.
No, I
But
don't
it's
mean it
also
like that. I mean,
also when you
if
touch
the
base when the kids leave home,
right,
you wait to be by yourself when the kids leave, and then it's super shocking for your system.
it's a huge shock to the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a deal breaker for a ton of relationships. It's a shock to the system. Women have full-blown breakdowns at that time because their identity is questioned. Yeah.
In that relationship, in that being a mom and whatever that
Right.
is.
And that's what exactly this is about. This is about I need to have my own separate identity. I am not just Gabby's mom, Sam's mom, Austin's mom. I am a person individually. I was before I had kids. I am still today. And I need to figure out who that person is, and I need to celebrate that person and love that person. And I am more than just being Alex's wife, partner, whatever. Because that isn't also defining of who I am.
Yeah.
So
This
while
is a
those
really good
relationships,
one for like anxious attachment people or codependent. I am one of those people, to sleep alone or really be alone. And like I was like legit having a problem with it. I'm like, what am I gonna do if he was actually gone? Like, you have to learn to be with yourself
yeah,
at some point, because it might happen and it might be out of your control. So learn to do it in your own control now, small steps, so that when it does happen at some point, or you are by yourself at some point for a period of time, it's not like the world's crashing down. Because it can, for some people, really be like it
yeah,
gives it like it's the thing that they are fear most, is losing
yeah.
the person that they love or not being around that person, because that person is like their comfort blanket. So the idea of literally doing something without them is like opposite of what they think brings them happiness. So it's like, wait, what? Why would I do that?
And
Why would I
that's
purposely sleep away from that person? I need that person. Well, that's why you do it.
yeah, and that's normal to be, obviously devastated when you lose a relationship, whether it's a divorce or someone passing, whatever the situation is. That's normal. It's normal to have all kinds of feelings when the kids leave home. Also normal. We're not saying that you shouldn't feel that way, but if we take time to nurture our relationship with ourselves, the way that we understand that we need to nurture our relationships with our partners. We understand that if we have more than one kid, that each kid needs individual time with us to nurture that relationship, because they are individual people. We understand that we need to check in with our parents and grandparents and nurture that relationship as well. Why are we not understanding of the fact that if we don't spend any time in the busy time of our adulthood nurturing our relationship with our own selves, that there will become a time when it's literally going to be in our face. We have no choice. We are alone.
Say, like, the one minute it's literally inevitable, like,
Yeah.
there will be a time. Maybe not. Maybe you go out like The Notebook, where you're like snuggling next to your partner and then you just like die. But chances are you're gonna have a period
Very unrealistic.
alone. Maybe it's now, maybe it's the later part of your life, maybe it's after the kids are gone, but it is inevitable. And like, do you wait until that? Like, that's like signing up for a marathon and then waiting until the day of the marathon to like take a jog. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, shit, it'll be fine. Like, no, it's not going to be fine. You're going to throw up a lot. You might want to maybe like run now so that when it happens, because it will happen, you're not a mess. Like, that's do that for life. You know?
Exactly. So I think this is a super important topic. Hopefully we got through to some people.
Now we
who
have to
needed
apply
hear
it.
this.
I
Now we
better
have to
hear
apply
that
it.
you did some pretty cool stuff for yourself the next time we check in, because we're not about saying things and not doing it, right?
We're not going to talk about that meditation article I'm writing.
We're going to do it. Even if we have to keep reapplying it, because hey, we're not perfect and no one is going to, I mean, hopefully treating yourself, you nail it pretty much out of the park the first round. Hopefully you're not one of those people that like makes the plans and gets out of the driveway and then turns back around and goes back inside. Like, you got to follow through with it. And it's pretty amazing, but it's unlike meditation, which I feel is like a chore, and I don't envy you. But
it's a whole other thing.
But now we have to apply it. And if everybody would apply it, I feel like, well, it'll all be more normal. You'll see more people out there doing their own thing. And like,
this is a practice. So we all need to practice this. And they say, do one thing every day that scares you. Do one thing every day that scares you, but do one thing every day that just thrills you too, that brings you joy. Yeah. And if you don't try things out to figure out what it is that unlocks your joy, how are you ever going to know? You maybe just be doing the things the people around you are doing because it's convenient, it's easy, they're already doing it, might as well. But you need to explore what always has kind of piqued your interest. I think everybody has that thing that every time they see it on a movie or a TV show, kind of, I would love to try that. What's stopping you? There's nothing stopping you except for your own thought process. So
you have to be afraid for it to be an unpopular opinion,
Yep.
Because people might go like, why would you ever want to do that? Or like, you might lose, people who, it might be like a social media thing and you start to lose followers because you've had a shift in interest. Well, like be afraid to be unliked for a minute. It literally brings you more joy.
And imagine
what expect of you.
Yeah. Imagine if you explain to the people in your life that you love them very much and you value your time with them, but you also value your time alone and you're going to be doing this thing. And if you make them understand where that's coming from, and it's no reflection of them, maybe that will give them permission to do the same. Maybe that will give them permission to do something.
We're all looking for permission to do this, guys.
Yeah.
And anyone who's like, I'm good on the dating myself thing. I don't need joy.
Yeah.
We all want to do it.
Who has time for joy?
Yeah. But like, if someone is like, I'm doing this, then they'll be like, like I should do that,
Yeah.
And it's like a domino effect of like people finally recognizing themselves.
Yeah. And maybe this is somebody's wake up call to get into that healthy relationship with themselves. If we as wives, moms can be that example, especially, even if your children aren't still living in the home, if you can show your children that you are an individual person outside of being their mother, and you have interests that are of your own, and that you take time to nurture those interests. Yep. That's a very healthy thing for them to learn and to model as they get older. And they won't feel, when it's their time to move out of the house, if they haven't already, they won't feel that burden of what's mom going to do? Like, I don't want to leave her, because our children feel it. I have to say that my children and I have a good enough relationship that they have expressed to me that when they were moving out of the house, they worried about me because they were such a huge part of my everyday life.
Yes.
And
you want people to like worry that you like have nothing else going on.
No, you want them to be focused on their new beginning and their exciting time to go off to college or start moving out to their own apartment or whatever the circumstances are. You want that to be a time full of joy and possibility for them and not guilt. So if we show them from the time that they're small or as soon as you can start, that we have a full and rich life of our own, whether that's an internal life or external life, that is healthy for them. And that is healthy for them to see so that they can model that kind of balance when they're older also. So go do the thing. Go do roller derby. Go hike. Go
yes.
Go
and
jump
tell
off
the people around that you're doing it. Don't ask permission, but tell them. Give them a heads up, because then it'll kind of relieve the stress off of your shoulders a little bit, and then you can, or don't. But like, don't feel like you have to tell them you're running a bunch of errands, but you're really secretly treating yourself.
No,
like,
this is about
something to feel bad about. Like, declare it. Like,
declare it. This is about us taking back our time and with the intention. So if you don't say it out loud, the intention isn't as loud.
You haven't told yourself really too. I mean,
Yeah.
there is something to like telling others, but you're also telling yourself. It's like an all around thing. You know, if you're just starting to do it, but you're also trying to fit it in your schedule and don't want to like inconvenience anyone with your new thing that you're doing, it's like, no, like tell them like you're a person.
Yeah, because it's nothing to be ashamed of or afraid of telling. It is something that is wonderful for you to do for yourself. So you should be telling people this and encouraging them to do the same. So go, build that model train set in your basement or whatever it is, whatever your joy is.
Yeah.
Go like, I don't know, whatever you want to do, go do it. Go live your life. Also, Megan, that doll behind you is like creeping me out.
I don't even want to tell you. Okay.
If you guys are not watching our YouTube video, if you're just listening, there is an antique doll on the shelf behind Megan. And I know it does not belong to Megan. So
no, I live in my in-laws house temporarily. So this background setup
it's making eye contact with me, and it has been for like the last hour. I feel like it is. Maybe it isn't, but
it isn't, but it's one of those dolls that like I also like every time I move it, I don't know how it got back. I think my mother.
Don't say that. Don't say that. It did not move itself back there. This is not that kind of a podcast.
So creepy that because it's like one of those, those paintings where you're convinced the eyes are following
that's
you.
what it's doing.
That's
to
what
me.
This is doing.
It's not facing me, but somehow still watching me from the deepest part of its soul.
No, and the way her nose and her mouth are, it's like
she's judging me.
She knows things.
She knows things. She's searching my soul.
She's already like it's all of the kid movies in which the kid murders someone is this doll where like she's plotted and she's ready.
Yeah.
Hate it. I won't have it next time. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I just had to point it out if anyone watching this on YouTube felt the same. So I didn't want them to feel alone.
Yeah, this might come as a shock, but this is not one of those like choose your own background set choices. I don't know if this is like shocking to
She didn't choose the Zoom background creepy doll.
I didn't choose weird playroom setting. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this week. We again appreciate everyone's support. We love to see our readers and listeners and YouTube subscribers coming back from week to week. It means a lot to us. And this article will have already been published by the time this is live. So please also read our writer's take on it. She kind of did a bullet list of things to do to get yourself comfortable with dating yourself, which we didn't go over. So it's definitely worth a read. It's not repetitive.
Yeah, especially if you're new to it and you're like, how do I even get started? You just need some tips on how to
go check it out. It's a good read.
Yeah.
And again, we can always talk deeper about this in our Facebook discussion group or commenting within the article. And we will see you guys next week.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.